Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Nitrix, and today I wanted to take some time to highlight a positive about Hypixel SkyBlock. I think that I get into a rhythm sometimes of sort of admonishing them for the various different things that they do wrong with their dev practices or with their releases or with upcoming releases, etc. So I think today I want to focus on why Hypixel Skyblock excels so well in the MMO space and what makes it so consistently enjoyable for so many people. So I think the first thing that comes to mind, like right off the bat, is the thought about rare drops, right? Hypixel Skyblock has a rare drop when you're doing just about anything. Even when it comes to like killing skeletons randomly or mining emeralds, like you've got so many different opportunities to drop dyes, to drop, rare items, to drop random 1 in 1 million crap that like a lot of it sells for a decent amount and can be a cool, boost to your account, but it also is just a novelty to go, holy crap, that was 1 in 100K. That's crazy. And then that kind of makes you feel motivated. Like, well, if that was 1 in 100K, this 1 in 100 that I'm grinding for doesn't feel so bad anymore. And you kind of keep going down that thought path. So the rare drops definitely are well balanced. And I think something else that is a huge boon to the rare drop system is the RNG meter as well. I think the way that Hypixel Skyblock is willing to offer a pity system for a lot of the rarer and more important drops especially is really good, and I like to see that they're moving towards trying to have a pity system in place for all of the content that has RNG drops. Started to look at, it was originally, Slayers, and they had, dungeons in there, and then it became expanded to experimentation table and all these different things. Now hopefully they're going to add one to Hoppity. And so it's nice to see, even dyes being added, right? It's nice to see them considering that some grinds are just a little bit unreasonable if you get unlucky, and adding in some not easy, but existing bad luck mitigation. I think that's a really good thing. And I think that they should continue with that trend for sure. Another thing that I think that Hypixel Skyblock excels at really well is its community. And I know that a lot of people are going to be down in the comments and, kind of watching this video and saying like, oh, the community for Hypixel Skyblock is terrible. I think that the particular part of the community that isn't very good can stick out like a sore thumb, but in basically every scenario playing Hypixel Skyblock, I always manage to find someone who is willing to help with something. It's really common for people to just ask a specific question in the chat and then to suddenly get, one person who's gonna go, just wiki it, bro, shut up. Yeah, okay, that guy's an asshole. But then you're going to have 2 people after that who are going to go, oh, you're like curious about Crimson? It really like depends on what you're doing. Here's some of the good attributes that you could try to focus on as a starter, but don't worry too much about it. You get some good information just from people who are eager to share. And so I think that that's a really positive part of the community. I also think that there's just generally a lot of people in the high level community, excluding dungeons, I would say, that you can find and just have a good conversation with, and are, respectful and responsive and helpful in a lot of ways. And that makes me really happy. One of the things that I really enjoy about my streams is having high-level members of the community in there and going, oh man, it's great to talk with this person who's rank 2 tungsten, and kind of just remember, like, this is just a guy. So yeah, I think that the community is better than a lot of people think, and I do think that it ends up being a selling point rather than a detracting point for a lot of people. I also think the fact that it's relatively on the older side of Minecraft servers probably makes it a bit more bearable for a lot of people too, because there's not quite so much skibbity giat Ohio Riz type shit. And so yeah, I think that they do a really good job with the community stuff. And then another thing that I think Hypixel does pretty well is YouTube. I think that there are a good few pretty large Hypixel Skyblock YouTubers. I still think that there are some niches that could be filled. Tons of discussion content. But overall, there's a lot of very interesting and fun videos that you can find. And on top of that, a lot of guides. Now, there is some crap that you have to sift through, some very popular guides that are just completely wrong. You know who I'm talking about for the most part, but that can be a very frustrating thing to see. But at the same time, there's also a lot of very, very useful guides on YouTube. There's a lot of very, very useful walkthroughs, and even sometimes just people showing like, this is how I one-tapped a Blaze Slayer. Like, it's not even a guide, it's just a video of them doing it, but you can find that niche video, and then you can look at it, and you can glean something from it. So I think that the Hypixel Skyblock community on YouTube is really good, and I also think that the content creators that exist in the space that have, left the space have left a really big gap that is primed to be filled by people with good personalities, which I think is exactly what you want to see in a decent YouTuber, exactly what you want to see in someone who's getting popular in regards to a game. And I also think it's nice that Hypixel at least does some level of working with their YouTubers, right? They have the YouTube rank, they occasionally do, little things regarding that. That's nice. That is a good thing to have and to encourage people to do content creation about your game and to kind of help them stand out a little bit. That's excellent. Those things alone, I think, are enough to help sell me on the fact that it's a fun MMO. But then we're not even mentioning at that point the skill system, right? It's pretty grindy, pretty long, but again, for an MMO, a lot of people see that as a selling point. But the way that you progress through both a combination of gaining XP and in a lot of scenarios completing tasks, quests, or purchasing something to allow you to get, unlock the next level basically, from those 51 to 60 levels. I really like that there are these different defined versions of progress that exist when it comes to the skilling system, and that at any point you can just pick up a skill and increase its XP, and that alone will in some way be beneficial to your account. Even if you're an endgame player with max skills, you're still gaining net worth a lot of the time, you're still gaining weight a lot of the time. Those things can be very useful. Yeah, I think the skill system is really good. I also think that the craft and recipe system that Minecraft, runs off natively is excellent for Hypixel. I think it makes it really fun and enjoyable, preserves a bit of a Minecraft-esque element, but also is so specifically custom that it offers an additional element of kind of like, oh, you know what, the crafting in this game isn't that complicated. In fact, I already play Minecraft. I know exactly how to craft like this. Makes things considerably easier. On top of mentioning that it's, based on Minecraft, I also think that that's a selling point. The fact that it is a free-to-play MMO that you can gain access to just by having a Minecraft account is a pretty significant boon, especially when considering that most MMOs with similar player counts to SkyBlock cost a monthly fee. That is huge. Now, there are some detracting points because of that, right? Like, server maintenance isn't, as good as it could be. There are things that could be improved that likely would be improved if more money was directed to the right places, but I'm not in a position to speak on that authoritatively. So what I'll say overall is that Hypixel SkyBlock is probably the prime MMO if they could kind of get some of the specifics of their game ironed out. They could make, the early game to late game transitions a bit easier, put guides in the right places, etc. I think that Hypixel SkyBlock really has potential, like an impressive amount of potential, especially because of the sheer amount of content that exists in the game. You can play this game like a full-time job for years and still not max everything out. It's incredible. That's an impressive amount of just like fun to have and things to do. And speaking of things to do, the amount of content in the game is awesome. And for the most part, compared to a lot of other MMOs, there's not as much just like genuinely dead content in the game. Most things that are added to the game that bring new elements to it build off of previous existing elements. So it's not just going, we're gonna introduce this new gill splash equipment, and it's just going to be better than Finwave, and you're going to craft it from, gill splash drops or whatever, right? No, it goes Ichthyik, and then you upgrade it to Finwave, and then you upgrade your Finwave to gill splash. There's a set progression system having to do with building on the previous tiers. And then when they add things in the future, they also take consideration around trying not to make other things obsolete, but rather side grading things, like with pest farming, and I thought that was really good. I'm a really big fan of integrated mechanics like that. I think that's pretty much everything that I have to say about the really positive aspects of Hypixel Skyblock. I think that dungeons would be another one, but I'm just not really a dungeons doer, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But just the sheer depth of this game and the community that is around it, the amount of fun that you can have and the things that you can do, and just the content that you can take in is from Skyblock as well. Just thoroughly enjoyable, really for me tickles that MMO itch in exactly the right way. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I really appreciate you guys watching. It's been crazy growth lately. Let me know down below if you think that other MMOs are better than Skyblock, or if you think Skyblock is the king, or what they can do to improve. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you next time.